So good morning. My name is Beth Wickman, and I'm the current coach. And I teach the art of deliberate creation. And so I want to get us started out this morning with some power thinking. Now, the bottom line about deliberate creation is that we are constantly in the process of creating our future by the thoughts that we're thinking today. Everything that was ever created started with a thought. And quantum physics has actually proven that our thoughts are magnetic. And so they're like a radio tower. When we dial our radio into 101.1 FM, we're going to receive back what's being broadcast at 101.1 FM, right? And so it makes sense that we would always want to be thinking about the things that we want to draw into our lives, right? But the problem is that we're not always aware of what we're thinking. And even when we are aware of what we're thinking, we are so socialized to focus on what we don't want that we have trouble figuring out what it is we really do want. Okay, so what I'd like to do today is practice an exercise that will help us to choose thoughts better, that help us feel better, and help us draw to us more of the things that we really want. And this exercise is called pivoting. And the basic idea is that when we recognize a thought that doesn't feel so good, we want to pivot and find another thought that helps us feel even just a little bit better. Because when we find a thought that feels a little bit better, we're going to draw better feeling people and opportunities and circumstances into our lives, okay? So what I would like you all to do is think about what are some of the thoughts that were going through your mind this morning as you were preparing to come to the workshop today. And while you're doing that, Emily, if you will come up, and I need one other volunteer, Dr. Jen. Pick a color of your choice. Those are my two favorite colors too. Okay, so to get the juices flowing, let's start with some very common thoughts. Let's put I don't have time over here. And let's put I can't afford it over here. Okay, and so let's get a couple of more thoughts. Does anybody have a thought this morning that doesn't feel so great regarding their body or their health? Anybody? Pardon me?
It's a bad hair day.
It's a bad hair day. Okay, put that there. Okay. Okay. And I can't move. Put that there. Okay. And then what's a thought that you've had about a relationship?
This marriage is not going to work. I'm supposed to be getting married in a few months, and I'm at the point where I'm
Okay. Anybody else?
I thought I was delighted I'd get to come enjoy this with my daughter.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Do you have a thought that maybe doesn't feel so good?
I'd already replaced that one.
Okay. Good for you. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay. Anybody else thought about a relationship?
We need to
Okay.
be balanced.
Too much anger. Too much anger.
Too much anger
Like
towards
you.
I don't like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
That's good. Okay. So let's start with I don't have time. Now remember that every thought that you think is actually an affirmation of what you believe to be true, and it's also an instruction for the universe to give you more of that. Okay? So let's check in and see how do we feel about this thought, I don't have time? Does it feel kind of stressful? Do you feel anxious? Okay. There's some, I'm sorry.
So tell yourself relax,
Okay.
then you will have the time to do things.
Okay. So we're going to talk more about that. She said that to tell yourself to relax so that you'll have more time. Okay. But when we're focusing on the thought, I don't have time, we feel resistance. We feel tension, right? And so we're drawing more resistance and more tension and more lack of time to us. So what we want to do is we want to go from I don't have time, we want to pivot to something that feels a little bit better. So when we pivot, the easiest place to start is by finding the opposite of the thought we're working with. So what's the opposite of I don't have time? I have plenty of time, so write that down. Okay? So, how does that feel? A lot less stressful, okay? But do you buy it? Okay, so maybe there's still some resistance and tension going on there. We want that, but we don't believe it, right? Okay, so what we want to keep in mind is whatever thought we land on has to ring true. It has to feel true for us in order to release that resistance. So what are some alternatives that we can really buy into?
This is worth my time.
This is worth my time. So write that down. That's beautiful.
I have just enough time to.
Okay, I have just enough time. Beautiful. What else?
Look at my priorities and rearrange them.
Okay, I focus on my priorities. Actually, let me have you write some of these too. I'm sorry?
I always have time to hug my son.
I always have time to hug my son. Beautiful. Okay, what else? Anybody else? What about I'm the one who chooses how I use my time? Right? I trust that it all works out for the best. How about I allow my day to flow with ease, grace, and joy? Okay, so when we look at these thoughts, I have just enough time. This is worth my time. I have plenty of time. Okay, how do these thoughts feel? Beautiful. Do you feel a little bit of a release of that tension? Does this feel a little more doable? Right? Okay, so that's the small shift that we're looking for. Okay, because big results come from making a series of small shifts. And so what you want to do is you want to find one thought that feels a little bit better, and then another, and another, and another. Okay, so let's move on to I can't afford it. What I find in my practice is that when I hear I can't afford it, that's really code speak for 4 other things, right? Am I right? Okay, so the first is I really want it, but I don't want, I really don't want it, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Okay? So it's okay to not want or need or value something. You get to choose that. That is entirely up to you. Just make sure that you're owning that and that you're standing in your power. Okay? Because if you say, I can't afford it, you're making yourself into a victim. Okay? And that doesn't feel good. And that's going to create more victimhood, right? So, for example, you may be asked to spend $10,000 to learn the exact size of your shoe. Okay, most people would decline that because they don't value that information that much. But if your child needed life-saving surgery, you would move heaven and earth to come up with $10,000 to pay for that. So it's not that you can't afford it. It's not that you can't create that money. It's that you don't value that thing that's on the table, right? So just make sure that you're owning your choice and don't feel the need to make excuses about it. Stand in your power. Okay, the next reason we say we can't afford it is that we're really scared to have that thing. If I say, oh gosh, I really want to have that fur coat because it helps me express my beauty and my prosperity, but people are going to think that I am cruel to animals. Or we might say, gosh, I really want to spend $200,000 on that Lamborghini because I love the feeling of speed and I love exquisite Italian design. But people are going to think that I am a rich snob, right? So we say, guess I don't want that. But you're here to live your life. You're not here to live anybody else's life. So don't make excuses about what's meaningful to you, okay? And don't worry about how other people may or may not judge you, because that's none of your business. That's about them. The third reason I hear I can't afford it, and I'm sure HealthWorks hears this a lot too, is when people are not committed to investing in themselves, okay? A lot of times we think, oh, I don't want to do the work to change me. It's a lot easier to try to get everybody else to change, right? Maybe, maybe not, okay? The thing is that change happens from the inside out. And if you don't do that inner work, you're not going to see the outer results. So the next time you're tempted to say, I can't afford to invest in myself by getting that personal coaching, or by getting that nutritional counseling, or by finishing my degree, or by going on that vacation that I really, really need, that's okay. But take ownership of that. Take ownership of what's really going on with you, okay? Now, it's okay to not be ready to make changes in your life. It's okay. But just allow yourself to be where you are. It's okay to be where you are, and don't feel like you have to justify that. Allow yourself to be ready when you're ready. Just recognize that you're making a choice. If you don't get that nutritional counseling, your body's probably not going to change, okay? If you don't finish that degree, then your income's probably not going to change, okay? So, it's okay, whatever your choice is, just own it and don't make excuses for it. Just own it and own the consequences. The final reason people say they can't afford it is because they really do want it, but they can't figure out how to make it happen. Okay, and so remember that every thought is an instruction and an affirmation. So what is the instruction we're giving when we say, I can't afford it? Anybody?
Don't send any more money my way.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
Do not, we're saying, do not give me any of that. I don't want any of that. That's the instruction that you're giving when you say, I can't afford it, okay? But this is a problem if we really do want that thing, right? So the good news is that we don't have to know how to make it happen. That is not our job. Our job is to make it welcome. Okay? So I saw a quote recently that says, commit and angels show up to do the heavy lifting. That's another way of saying that when you have the courage to step off the cliff disappears. Okay? So in our culture, we're taught that if we want something, we have to go and we have to work really hard and earn the money, and it's really hard and it might not happen, okay? But this is backwards from how universal principles work. Even in the Bible, it says the first thing you do is ask, and the second thing you do is you believe that it's yours, and then it will manifest, okay? So don't look for the obstacles, look for the miracles. So with all that being said, what are some thoughts that we can replace I can't afford it with that will help us pivot and shift from focusing on lack to focusing on what we want to welcome in our lives? What do you want to make welcome?
It will happen.
It will happen. Okay, you want to write that down? Okay, what else?
Plan to budget for.
Okay, I will plan for this. Making a commitment. How about I'm worth the investment? Okay.
I must have it.
I must have it. But does that feel like there's some resistance there? Okay, so let's not use that one. Did we get, okay. Did we get I'm worth the investment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how about I deserve good things in life? Okay. How about there's enough for everyone? Okay, how about anything is possible? And how about, what if I get my desire? What could be better than that? So how do those thoughts feel? They feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more possible. Okay, I can't afford it puts up a brick wall. These kinds of thoughts make that brick wall dissolve, right? Okay, so let's move on to some other thoughts. So the thoughts we had about our body was, it's a bad hair day. And did we have another one? I can't move. Okay, so when we say it's a bad hair day or I can't move, what are we affirming and what are we asking for more of?
More bad hair day.
Mm-hmm. So when you look at your body in the mirror in the morning, do you regard it as a dear friend? Or do you regard it as an adversary or a small child who needs to be punished? Right? We talk to our bodies like that, right? Okay. So what can we choose to think instead to be a partner with our body to create more of what we really want? And feel free to flip the page if you need more room. What's a better thought? What's a better feeling thought?
I'm grateful for this body.
I'm grateful for my body. Beautiful. What else?
I like this body serves me well.
This body serves me well. I like that too. Okay.
I'm unique.
I am unique. Beautiful. How about as I honor my body, I honor myself? You want to get that one? Okay. What else?
I will gain the resources to change.
I'm sorry?
I will gain the resources to change. Thinking about weight loss.
Okay, but you're focusing that you have lack. Okay. So how about I have what I need to support my body's health. Okay. So how do those thoughts feel? A little more powerful, a little more calm, a little more peaceful? Okay. So let's move on to relationships. Okay. I don't like you. I do not like you. Okay, what else?
I had, this marriage is not going to work.
Okay, this marriage is not going to work. Okay, so in my observation in our culture, we're taught that in order to get what we want in our relationships, we have to control and manipulate the other person into giving it to us. Okay, or we have to become less of ourselves so that we don't offend anybody. Or we have to sacrifice ourselves so that everybody else can get what they want. Or we're responsible for other people's choices. Or we have to meet their expectations so that we can get the approval and acceptance that we crave. But how does all of that leave us feeling? Conflicted, rejected, frustrated, unsatisfied, resentful. Exactly. Okay. So one of the things I find in myself and with my clients is that we struggle with the concept of personal boundaries. Who is responsible for what? Okay. So the bottom line is that because you're the only person that you can control, you're the only person who can be responsible for you. And because you can't control anybody else, you're not responsible for anybody else. Now, yes, we have responsibilities to other people, our children, for example, our spouses, our boss, okay? But we are not responsible for them, okay? But our culture doesn't support this, and so it leads to relationships built on dishonesty and disempowerment and conflict. And so what do? How can we change our thoughts to encourage more supportive and cooperative responses from the people that we're in relationship with. Now, an interesting thing about relationships is that other people often act as a mirror of what we see in ourselves. And so the next time you're tempted to say, oh, this person is not respecting me, ask yourself, how am I not respecting me? And how am I not respecting them? Okay? So, when we say, I don't like you, or this marriage is not going to work, what are we affirming? What are we asking more of? Okay? And what can we think differently to make a better relationship? Anybody?
The marriage one was mine, and I know the issue for me. It's I need to know that I deserve to be happy. And I know it. It's just sometimes it's hard to change that. And so I freak out again. I deserve to be happy with this person.
Okay. So I deserve to be happy. Okay. What else?
What do you see? Someone else you don't like, that is a mirror of yourself. So you should take that and change yourself.
Okay. So how am I not liking myself? Okay. You want to put that up there? How about when I respect myself, I'm respecting others? How about I allow myself to be who I choose to be? And I allow others to be who they choose to be. How about it's my job to ask for what I want from my relationship?
Yeah, they're supposed to read our minds though, right?
Yeah. That's part of their husbandly duties. Okay. And it's my choice to decide what I want to give to my relationship. Okay. What if it's possible for both of us to get what we want? Wouldn't that be great? What could be better than that? What if we could both get what we want?
We get to know each other well by speaking.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's a lot of ideas to absorb, and the thing that I want you to take away today is that your thoughts are creating your future. So if you don't like what you're creating in your life, stop and ask yourself, what could I be thinking that's creating this? Because a lot of times we think, I can't do that, or that doesn't apply to me, or I've tried everything and nothing works for me, right? So spend some time playing with these thoughts. Write in a journal and play and see what feels better. Because when you get something that feels a little bit better, then find another one, and pretty soon you realize that your life is changing in a positive direction. So when you listen to the other speakers today, instead of saying, that won't work for me, ask yourself, wouldn't it be nice if that could work for me? That feels better, okay? So I'd like to end our time today with an affirmation that I use a lot. What I'd like to do is I'll say it first, and then I would like all of us to say it together, okay? Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. So let's say it together. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Repeat that to yourself a lot, especially right before you go to bed. So, thank you very much.